Winter, an improvised mystery by Shorty. Let's see where this audio takes us. Veronica. The sky looked heavy and bruised the next morning. Just like my heart, I thought. I looked up to the heavy beaded dress hanging on the wardrobe door, but it wasn't there. I looked on the floor, all around. Did I already put it back in Mother's room? I didn't recall. I must have, yes. As I entered the breakfast room, you were there, feeling the weight of our silver. You studied the butter knife in your hand, as if it were some kind of relic. You gave me a sheepish look, then concentrated very hard on your toast. Good morning. What's good? I surveyed the buffet table, wondering who put it together. Just like old times, I thought. My question was answered when a portly woman with a pointed nose bustled in, carrying some more toast. She begged my pardon and bustled off again. How strange. Julius up to his tricks, no doubt. I poured a coffee and sat down opposite you. There was something in the air. Felt different. You could barely look at me. And I noticed you had a deep scratch on your cheek. I twisted the coffee cup in my hands, not wanting to make conversation. But I did wonder, how the hell did you get a scratch in the middle of the night? I must have absent-mindedly touched my own cheek, which you noticed and flamed red, touching your own. Okay, I'll bite. What happened to your cheek? You looked at me incredulous. Well, what happened? You should know, you replied. I just shrugged. I wasn't that interested. We sat in silence, well apart from you crunching your toast. Have you seen Julius this morning? You shook your head. Me neither. We both turned in unison as giggling echoed from down the hall. Murmuring voices and shushes made their way down to the front door. It clicked closed, and then Julius appeared, looking a bit worse for wear. Good morning, dear brother. To be fair, it was nearly lunchtime. He annoyingly ruffled my hair, nearly tripping in the process. I scowled and pushed him off. Luckily, you didn't see my embarrassment. You were too busy looking at the bottom of a half-empty jug. Geez, why don't you just get your appraising glass out and be done with it, I thought. The boys' banter started not long after that. I made my excuses and crept upstairs. I went to Mother's room. The brass handle of the door was polished to a high sheen, and the key turned easily. I stepped inside the room and just stood there. There was a light sheen of dust, covering every surface. Undisturbed. Just how I liked it. I hadn't touched anything, apart from her closet. I so wanted to sit at her dressing table, touch her jewellery, test her makeup, use her perfume. I'd only allow myself to use her closet and play with her clothes and shoes. I checked the closet, and yes, there was the beaded dress. I didn't recall putting it there, but I must have. I breathed in the smell of the room, musty, but there was always a lingering smell, I don't know. Mother. She was a strong, stern, powerful woman. I felt that she hadn't quite left, especially here in this room. It was then that I noticed there had been a disturbance of dust. On her dressing table, on her vanity. But who? I had the only key. I was certain of that. There was no other way in unless somebody scaled the... No one would do that. It was too high. I looked to the left, at the door that led to the attic. Was that unlocked? To be honest, I never checked. I assumed nobody would be up there. Why would they? Plus, nobody came here. Me and my brother, and before, Mr. and Mrs. Baines, who obviously weren't loyal to us. Just our parents. I hurried to the door and turned the knob. It was locked. But where was the key? I kicked myself. Why didn't I check before? I'll have to ask Julius, I guess, as he has taken it upon himself to, run this place. Run it into the ground, maybe. And he must know that I know why he's brought his friend here. The antique dealer. Come to appraise anything valuable, I guess. I was about to turn to leave when I felt some cool air on my wrist. I looked about and surmised it was coming from the keyhole. I bent down and put my eye to it. All I could see were dark winding stairs, making their way upwards. Oh Lord, I hope there's not a hole in the roof. That would be disaster. There was a light tap on the door. I hurried over, stepped out, pulling the door behind me, then swiftly locking it. It was you. Yes. What do you want? You're not allowed in here. It's private. Are you following me? What do you want? You mumbled a few words of apology. Something about last night. You touched your cheek, babbling about it being an accident. I just wanted you away from me and away from my mother's room. Away from my stuff, away from the antiques, away from my house, to be honest. Look, I'm sure you're a nice enough fellow. And I don't know what my brother's told you. But nothing here is for sale, understand? Nothing. You stepped back as if struck. Oh Lord, this is just what Julius wants. He wants everyone to know, or to think that I'm unhinged. I'm sorry. I don't know where that came from. I apologise. I feel we got off on the wrong foot. You looked wary, but your face brightened a touch. Then you made the mistake of pretending you were just here to see my brother. I knew that wasn't true. My brother doesn't invite people for nothing. He likes to use them. And he was definitely using you. Well, my darlings, I hope you liked that little tale. And if you think you'd like me to get my tongue around something a little more spicy, why not join my Patreon? Talking of Patreon, here they are. Shenanigans, Billy, Living Lightning, Pokemon, David, Mad Coffee, Nikki Phantom, Pillowy Slave, Glutamus Maximus, Mordred, Stephen, Campaign for a Better Weekend, Rel, Fire, Outsider HP, Jovi Lucky, B, Ted, Jelly Mage, Aaron, Ben Smith, Cubby, Donny, Glad Happy, and Chibi Dude.